Now, we'll find out this weekend, right? I mean, we got a huge weekend coming
Big
up.
weekend
Red
coming up.
River Rivalry, and we'll talk a lot about my experiences there and that game as a whole. But I'm just not a huge believer yet. I did think that they battled really, really well on the road at TCU this weekend. I think Casey Thompson has solidified himself at this point as the guy at the helm in Austin. And so, proud of him and the way that he's playing right now. Like we talked about last week, making the most of his opportunity, right?
Definitely. Well, let's go ahead and kick it off. Before we kick it off, man, thank you for all of our fans out there, subscribers. If you're on the road with us, if you're grabbing a beer and watching us on the computer, the TV, whatever stream service you got, thank you so much. Would love to hear some questions. Trevor gets way more questions than I do, which is unfortunate because I think I'm way funnier on social media, but it's fine. Well, let's jump right into it. Let's go back to your first college. OU at K-State.
Yeah.
OU at K-State. Tell it just real quick recap. Kind of what you thought, and they came out with a win again.
Yeah, Manhattan's a unique place, right? One of my favorite places
Concrete
to
City.
play. Yes, no doubt. One of my favorite places to play in the Big 12 by far. And as an opposing team, you're always interested going somewhere for the first time. And I know you remember this, Bryce. What is the visiting locker room like, right? At first, it was bad my first time to Manhattan, but then they renovated the stadium.
Yeah.
You're thinking, okay, this could get a little better.
Right.
Oh, no. They made it to where the visiting team has to go into a door and walk up about 5 flights of stairs to get to the locker room. And that it haunts me, right? I mean, you get off the end of a half and you have to run up those stairs or up and down pregame. It's just a nightmare. So that is a horrible, horrible memory from Manhattan. But it's also a really fun place to play. I think their student section does a great job.
One of
They
the
show
best.
up early.
Yeah,
They get
man, it's one of the
rocking.
best.
And it's a tough place to play. As we've talked about, Kansas State does what they do, and they do it really, really well. They run cover 4. They'll spin to 3, and they'll bring some man blitz, and they really don't get all that fancy.
Always good on
anything.
special teams.
Always good on special teams. They've always got like 3 or 4 walk-ons that end up being in the All-American talk. They're just gritty, and they play really, really hard, and they say, hey, here we are, come beat us, right? So props to Oklahoma for going up there and getting a win.
Yep.
That being said, we still see an Oklahoma team that hasn't played their best football yet. They're 5-0. 5-0 is 5-0 is 5-0. We always say that, right? But that being said, they just have found, and this is interesting the way I'm going to say this, they have found a way to let teams stay in it, especially at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler, I thought he played a good game. He was pretty clean throughout the game. His numbers, his stat line is relatively good, but there's just something missing from a grit standpoint to say, hey, we're Oklahoma, you're Kansas State, or we're Oklahoma, you're whoever you are. We've got all these preseason everything. We're going to not only beat you, but we're going to really put our foot on your throat and beat you by a lot of points. That didn't happen. Again, undefeated, another win on the road. Props to Oklahoma, props to Lincoln Riley and those guys, but still not overly impressed with the overall performance from the Sooners. Thoughts, Bryce?
I look, because of what happened last week, right? You had the student section really calling out for your backup, which is tough. I was really hoping that Spencer Rattler would come out and have this statement game, not necessarily flipping birds or anything, but hey, I'm your guy, right?
Yeah.
3-4 weeks ago, you were, chant my name because I was, it was basically my Heisman to lose. We got to see the ability that Spencer Rattler has. I mean, and for everyone out there, off-platform throws are throws, especially in our position that we kind of harp on just because it's an ability that's just God-given. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to teach a kid to be able to be exceptional off-platform throws. Yep. The guy, dude, it's a flick of the wrist. It's crazy how
some of the best arm talent I've ever seen.
It's just crazy how whippy he is. Now, with that being said, right, we talked about this before the show. I think Skylar Thompson outshowed him. Right, I think that he's
your what of the week?
I have him as my MVP of the week, and here's
in a
why.
losing game.
That
is Mr. Bryce Petty, ladies and gentlemen.
It doesn't matter because he outshined him. This dude went 29 of 41, 320 yards,
Incredible
and 3
game.
TDs, and kept K-State in the game on one leg.
Yeah.
On one leg. And
So-
it's just great to see Skylar Thompson, back out there again for his 8th year.
Yeah, you know all about that. So let me ask you this then.
Right.
Is this a product of Oklahoma continuing to get everyone's best shot and Kansas State showed up and played? Or is it Oklahoma's not rising to the occasion and beating people the way that they should, right? I mean, a win is a win, but which way does it go? Is this and we'll just talk about this week, right?
Yeah.
Is this Kansas State giving them a run for their money, or is this Oklahoma not showing up to play?
No, look, because this is the thing, right? You have to get off the bus. It doesn't matter if you're circled. If you're circled, it's an expectation that you ought to rise to the occasion to, right? My guy Gerard Butler at 300 didn't just like, oh, man, we've got the best of whoever's coming at us today, so we may or may not win. Like, those guys went to stomp people. And maybe that's a terrible reference. Maybe it is. I don't know. But the idea is that, look, they're scoring 29 points per game, okay? That's 55 out of 130 teams.
Yeah.
They are 380 yards per game, which is 59 out of 130 teams. That is not a Lincoln Riley offense to me at all. That's just a very interesting stat that Garrett, our guy, behind the scenes here found for us today. But the idea is that Lincoln Riley, Spencer Rattler, this offensive line, whatever the case is, whatever they got in this punch bowl, that they were sipping, to me, a little bit more of their own Kool-Aid than saying, hey, man, we're going to be, again, everybody's juggling. This is a back-to-back-to-back 6-time Big 12 champion, right?
Yep.
No, this is to me, this is all on OU. It is not somebody circling OU, excited to play OU today. They've been excited to play OU, right? They have been at the throne for 6 years now, and to me, this is a very underperforming team for Lincoln Riley.
Underperforming and still 5-0. I think that Lincoln Riley, he said it in his press conference, he's excited and he's happy about where the team is at from there's my burp of the week.
Burp of the week.
Burp of the week.
Burp of
brought
the
to
week,
you
everybody.
by lattes this week, right?
Yeah, lattes.
This is, to be 5-0 in any conference in college football, right? You've got to hang your hat on that. It's tough to win, as you know. Each and every week, somebody can come out and reach up and bite you. But from a production standpoint, I don't think that they're satisfied where they're at. The test will be this week in the Cotton Bowl.
100%.
And excited to talk about that. That is just such an interesting game. It brings so many different. There you go. You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
All right, so Texas at TCU. We talked about this game last week. Going into Amen Carter was, for me, this is kind of a statement game for TCU. And interestingly enough, TCU plays Texas really well. Gary Patterson gets his guys ready. TCU, unfortunately, is injured riddled, man. I feel for them. That'll be the only time that I ever say that about TCU, just so everybody knows. But UT went up there 32-27. What did you see? We've kind of talked about it a little bit, but go ahead and give the fans here, Trevor's position.
I mentioned it a second ago. Along with Jalen Warren up at Oklahoma State, Bijan Robinson. We talked about him on our Saturday night show. I really think he is going to be in the Heisman conversation at the end of the year, and here's why. He is unbelievably valuable to that Texas offense. Casey Thompson, again, like I said, hats off to you for coming in and doing a great job and taking control of your opportunity. But the reason that everything is clicking on that Texas offense when they are successful is because of Bijan Robinson. He is absolutely phenomenal to watch. He's multiple. He can catch the ball. He bounces off of guys. He never goes down by one defender. Over 216 yards on 35 carries, right? I mean, just a horse back there for this Texas offense. It's fun to watch. I'm excited to see him continue to progress, and he's got an opportunity to have a Heisman game in the Cotton Bowl this weekend.
Get ready.
Absolutely.
Get your popcorn ready.
Let's go. Oh, jeez. That didn't age well.
I apologize for that right there. I tell you what, Lane Kiffin, real quick shout out for being lame. That was so bad. And we ripped, dude, I ripped him on our Saturday night show. I just think that's so lame. Anyways, look, in my notes, I have all hail Bijan because this guy, week in and week out, is UT's offense. Please slide over here, Chris Collinsworth. Thank you. This guy is their offense, and I will tell you, as our sound quality picked that up very nicely. Thank you, Garrett. Yeah, networks. But his ability week in and week out to be that offense allows and I think Casey Thompson does such a good job of just letting, it's an ego thing, right? Casey Thompson's like, buddy, by all means, this runs through you. And I think Sark is starting to understand too. And I tell you what, I'm probably going to piss off a lot of people because one, it's a lot of expectations, but two, I have this mixture of a Barry Sanders and Bo Jackson-esque type of running back. If you watch him, his ability to have this one cut and get to acceleration really, really quickly, as well, and Bo Jackson it looked like he didn't even look like he was running and never got caught. Bijan, I've yet to see this dude get caught, and he's got, I think right now what they were talking about is through at a minimum 100 carries, he has the most broken tackles of anybody in the nation right now. And you watch him, and it takes 2 or 3 people to get this dude down every time. He never loses yards, always falls forward, which is something that us football guys love as a running back. You always love your running backs to fall forward. But I tell you what though, Zach Evans on the other side of the football, right? This was a really unique matchup to see. Running back on running back, which a lot of times you kind of see the quarterback comparison. We were talking about, obviously, Tom Brady, Mac Jones earlier. But these two guys are going to be studs in the Big 12, at least for another year before they leave. And Zach Evans, I think, was like the number 2 ranked running back coming out. So it was actually really interesting to see those guys go. But before I digress, this one's probably tough for Gary because right now I did some stat checking again. Actually, my guy Garrett did some stat checking. They are 117 out of 130 in yards per game on defense, right? Allowing yards per game. And they're 120 out of 130 on yards per play. That's just kind of unheard of for a Gary Patterson defense.
Gary has always really just solidified himself as a defensive threat, right? I mean, all of his defenses rise to the occasion. We had a guy... he's still playing in the No Fun League in the NFL for the Packers. He played quarterback at my high school. He goes to TCU as an athlete. They put him at undersized linebacker. Next thing you know, he's putting his hand in the dirt. Now he's playing for the Packers. He has been able to develop guys and develop defenses over the years, and I know that he is not sleeping a lot at night when you hear those stats.
Yeah. Well, you've been there for 20 years, and sometimes, get soft.
Do you think this is really inappropriate? Probably shouldn't say this, but it popped in my head. Do you think Gary Patterson works out on a daily basis?
Not at all.
Or does he sweats
enough on Saturday?
Does he rely on the sweating on game day?
He sweats enough on Saturday.
I mean,
for sure.
Don't get me wrong. I know he's a little older, all that, and he's probably active because he's at practice every day. But could you imagine Gary Patterson with just like some 25s in his hand, just doing some curls and just the grunts that come from the
I think there's definitely some grunts, and it's probably. I feel like Gary Patterson would be like, how on templates how you have 3 or 4 sets. I think on a 4-set template for GP, I think he's going to do like 2 or 3 and then be like, I'm.
Oh, you think he's over it?
Yeah, I don't think he finishes his sets.
He is far and above working out. Right?
Yeah, I don't think he finishes his sets.
But we talked on our Saturday night show about the potential college football playoff finalists, right? The top 4. I think if somebody runs
number 3.
Dang it, I'm only on my second beer.
# Trevor's burps.
That's wow. Okay. I think there will be a Big 12 team in the playoff. But now that Cincinnati is playing good, Georgia is obviously one of the best teams in the country. Alabama is Alabama. If Oklahoma or Oklahoma State, which is, I think, far out, if Oklahoma doesn't run the table, does the Big 12 have an opportunity to go to the college football playoff? This is my way early thought. It's just a bad thought. That's why I put it in my bads. But
makes sense.
I'm getting nervous. The Big Ten's really strong this year. We talked about that. Obviously, you're probably going to have 2 teams come out of the SEC. Is this the year that the Big 12 does not have a representative? I think it's all at this point, it's on Oklahoma's shoulders or potentially Texas, whoever wins that game this weekend, right?
Now that's going to be interesting, right? You have Texas at 4-1, with their only loss being to Woo Pig, got throttled, and then we just saw Arkansas get absolutely throttled.
Yep.
Down there in Athens. So, look, I think that Texas is going to stomp. I mean, this is the week that unless Spencer Rattler does Spencer Rattler things, I don't think OU comes out of this alive. So real quick, let's do this because we are at 42 minutes. So let's wrap this up. But at the same time, I think this is a really interesting game because I think a lot of people love the idea, right, of what the Red River Showdown presents us as fans. But as a player, I never played in it. We do, however, Garrett. No, you didn't play in it. No, okay, just NCAA, same as me. But we do have a colleague here and a good friend in Trevor Knight who played in it. And so I think it'd just be really cool to go through what this week is like as a player. I mean, what are the distractions going into this week? What's a Lincoln Riley telling his guys? What's a Sark? This is Sark's first year playing in this game. Give us a little bit of the insight into the Red River Showdown.
Yeah, it's an incredible experience, first of all. Obviously, one of the greatest atmospheres in sports, period.
Split half.
Split in half.
Yeah.
It is, if you've never been to the game in Dallas, Texas, at the historic Cotton Bowl, find a way to get there at some point in your life just to experience the sights, the sounds. The Texas State Fair is going on. Golly, it is just incredible. That being said, from an on-the-field standpoint, I know from growing up as a Texas fan and then also, playing at OU, it's OU hate week and it's Texas hate week from both sides. It's not one of those situations where it's, hey, if we win this game, our year is made, right? Because both teams have higher, expectations than that. But for that week alone, it is one thing and one thing only. You are focused on beating Texas or you are focused on beating OU. Depending on which side you're on. It is play the fight song all week at practice. It's put up blips in team meetings showing what other players said from the other. It is material for the tack
bulletin board. I love
Absolutely.
it. What's classroom like? What I mean, are the students into it just as much? I mean, do they? You got
students are in it.
Doing your homework.
If you're sitting in class, which I always went to class, I really did. I was a great student.
I believe that actually is a great student.
Professors calling you out. It's like, hey, and in trigonometry this week we're learning. Oh, I know. By the way, Trevor, best of luck this weekend at Texas.
You got called out in class.
Throw the horns down. Yeah. Everybody's patting you on the back. For the most part.
Did you wear your jersey in class ever? That thing?
And eye black.
Yeah, nice.
In my helmet.
Yes.
No, but it really is. I mean, the whole the whole campus comes alive for that week. Everybody packs up, and it's a caravan down to Dallas. It is just an incredible atmosphere from start to finish that whole week. Now, as a player, you're driving into Dallas on the bus, and there's people up on the overpasses with signs coming into town. You got you've got the police escort coming in, and then day of the game, as you're trying to navigate your way through thousands of people at the Texas State Fair, if you're an OU player and they're wearing burnt orange, you see so many middle fingers and people are yelling at you, and it is just unbelievable. And then my first experience down there, running out of the tunnel. First of all, it's the same tunnel for both teams, right? So if one of the teams is already kind of peeking out, the jawing going on,
man, I love it.
And then the OU side is the side you run out. So as an OU player, you run out and you hear nothing but cheers and roars, and then we would always run to the opposite end zone, right? That's just what we did coming out. Burp number 4.
Burp number 4.
And so you pass the 50-yard line and you feel the energy change. And you kind of look into the crowd, and again, nothing but middle fingers and people, you suck. And, oh, man, it was unreal. But with all that being said, from the actual, kind of aroma of the day, on the field, I can honestly say this. It is a toss-up. You have seen year after year after year the clear-cut favorite go in there and get their butt kicked.
Right.
Vice versa. If it's a close game by like it is this week, you might see one team come out and win by 40. It has no bearing to previous play or future play. You look at Baker Mayfield in 2015, year they went to the college football playoff. I was on that team. We were a phenomenal team. We were by far the better team that year, and we come out and get beat because it's the Cotton Bowl, because it's OU Texas. It is a true rivalry game. Any given Saturday, somebody can win, but I'm excited. I'm going to be there this year.
Are you?
I'm going to the game. Wouldn't miss it for the world, especially being in Dallas now. And I love watching it as a fan now and experience that. I grew up going to the game, and now I get that same feeling, but with a different perspective because I understand what these guys are feeling on the field. Man, absolutely historic. That's my rundown.
No,
what are your thoughts?
It's so good. Well, I mean, shoot, man, I've actually never been to this game. That's why I was hoping. Well,
because it's not near as cool as McLean Stadium.
I didn't get it
in Waco.
No, I agree. It is. McLean Stadium is a mainstay. But real quick before we get off, because I just think this is really cool, right? Because you have, I mean, in terms of distraction, I'm trying to think of what would be. Maybe this Alabama-Auburn game, Florida State, Michigan-Ohio State, maybe, but it's not surrounded by a state fair. I just feel like, and the other thing, too, that, probably not really a lot of people think about, this is an 11 o'clock kickoff. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're waking up at 6:37, right? And I think we all know it takes, for sure, me a couple, cups of coffee to get ready, and then maybe by 2 I open up my laptop and get out of my jammies. But, I mean, 11 a.m. kickoff. You have the Texas State Fair. You have professors patting you on the back, calling you out in class. There's a ton of distractions with this game, right? I mean, what's one of the craziest kind of in terms of that as a player that you remember playing at that venue?
Well, you played in bowl games, and so there's a lot of hoopla with bowl games. You got to go and do this appearance. You got when you walk into the hotel, they got banners up with your name on it and balloons and people hooping and hollering and all sorts of crazy distractions. It's the same thing. So OU, we always stayed at the Residence. Renaissance in Dallas. It looks like a bottle of lipstick or a football. That's kind of the shape of it. But that's where we stayed. When we would walk in, there would be balloons and all these fans, and it's just you got to get your mind in the right place pregame, right? I mean, there is, like I said, on campus, in class, everything. People are just going nuts because they're excited, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's everybody hop in the car. We get to go down to Dallas for the weekend and have a great time, get dinner reservations, and fraternities, sororities rent out, whole venues for pre-parties, all sorts of crazy stuff. If you allow yourself to buy into all that and not focus on the task at hand, it is very, very difficult to be in the right headspace.
I believe it. Well, as all you guys, and Garrett is my witness, can I go with you next year? I mean, can I be with Trevor and Lacey when you guys go and Little Man?
Yeah, I mean, if you're nice over the next 365 days, I'd love to
I've already talked to Lacey. I think Bryce is in the running for kid's name, at least a middtle name. Bryce Knight.
I do like the name Bryce. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't think that's in the cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, just for everybody. So Texas leads this series, 62-49-5. So OU's got some catching up to do, but to your point, with Baker walking in there and you guys losing, OU has won the last 3, though. So, look, going into what is to come, right, we have OU, Texas, we have West Virginia, Baylor, and then we have TCU, Texas Tech. Garrett, hit. What do we got coming up here in terms of the games leading, which, by the way, so we have OU minus 3.5, asterisk, my man Garrett, hooking us up with a neutral site here, over under 63.5. We have College Game Day to just add on another distraction.
Right? I mean, that's really cool. The last time that College Game Day was at the Red River Rivalry, you had both teams atop the college football world. I'm not saying both these teams are atop the college football world right now, but it is a more appetizing game than in the most recent years past, right?
Right.
You looking back at Vince Young days against Sam Bradford and Colt McCoy and just all these guys. You go back in the history and you think about these plays. Roy Williams diving over and tackling Chris Sims in the end zone. I mean, like. It's just really neat. But yeah, College game day will be here in Dallas. That's really cool. Bryce, what do you think? OU minus 3.5. Are you taking the Sooners, or you kind of already mentioned you?
No. I think Texas takes care of business. I think on the back of Bijan Robinson, they know who they are. Look, OU finally eclipsed 100+ because they have had a 100-yard game, but 130 yards against Kansas State and Manhattan. But I still don't think that it's enough. I think Texas is rolling. I think Sark has these guys wild and out. So I actually have Texas winning this game. So that's my play there. And I think 63.5. It's typically always a shootout, right? I mean, it's never a low-scoring game. So I'm going to take the over on that.
All right, I'm taking the Sooners. I'm a homer here. I'm throwing the horns down. I'm getting the flag every single time. I'm going to leave them there for the rest of the show until my arms get tired.
Love it.
I'm taking the Sooners, even at minus 3.5. I think it's a 7 to 14 point ball game. I think Spencer Rattler plays really, really good football. Over under 63.5. I'm taking the over. I think it's going to be the definition of a shootout. I think Casey Thompson will play really, really good football. I think that Bijan Robinson will run the ball really, really well. But Spencer Rattler and the boys are getting it done in Austin. I'm going to be going nuts. I'm having a corn dog. I'm having fried Oreos. I'm having a turkey leg.
Yes.
I'm doing it all. I'm having some beers in the Cotton Bowl. I'm having a great day with my wife and friends, and I'm throwing the freaking horns down all day long, baby.
Love it. Oh, gosh, you got to love it.